Across Africa, the soil tells a story of hands that plant hope, of women and men who rise with the sun, shaping the future of our food, our land, and our economies. This is AgriTalk Africa, the podcast that puts farmers first. We go beyond the headlines to bring you authentic conversations with people driving change in African agribusiness. From financial literacy to climate-smart farming, from the challenges of rural financing to the triumphs of innovation. We educate, we inform, and we inspire. Welcome to AgriTalk Africa, where agriculture meets action.
It's yet another exciting episode of AgriTalk Africa. This is a podcast where real stories are followed, challenges are also looked at into perspective, and of course, we also delve into different issues to do with agriculture. I'm your host, Penjani Nzima, also known as Uncle P, if you like. And of course, on AgriTalk Africa, we talk agriculture from the grassroots to the boardrooms, and not forgetting those that are farming. Today, we are being privileged to have a guest who does not only sit in the office, but of course interact with the farmers themselves. And I'm talking about Miss Dr. Mainza Nicholas, or Nicholas Mainza, if you like. I did start with the surname, but it can go either way. It doesn't matter. So he is my guest this today, and we'll be looking into issues to do with the agribusiness policy as well as strategic planning. All these and much more discussions right here on AgriTalk Africa, because we talk agriculture. Dr. Nicholas Mainza, he happens to be the Deputy Director of Agribusiness right here at the Ministry of Agriculture right here in Zambia. Doc, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast or on the program, and welcome to the show.
Pleasure is mine, Penjani. Good to be with you. Good to meet you in person today.
Yes. And
indeed, Nicholas Obi Mainza. I'm privileged. Anyway, sometimes we tend to forget adding these titles. But otherwise, I'm Nicholas Obi Mainza.
Okay.
And I'm happy to be with you and looking forward to the further interactions.
Okay. Yeah. Certainly, that's my guest today. And of course, he's the man that commands a great experience spanning probably 2 decades into academia, policy, and of course, field engagement. Just like I did tell you in my preamble, that he's the man that goes down even to the fields to interact with the farmers. Of course, he's been also instrumental in driving strategic frameworks like the SAFF, that is the Strategic Agribusiness and Agro-Industry Frameworks. This has been put in place, of course, to help shape Zambia's agribusiness narrative, talking about entrepreneurship, value addition, and regional competitiveness. So we'll be talking much more things to do with Zambia's agribusiness transformation. How has this journey been? Of course, what has been the wins or the achievements, as well as the challenges that has come along in this journey. But first things first, Doc, let's begin with your journey.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Let's begin with your journey. What really inspired your transition into agricultural policy and agribusiness leadership?
Okay. Like I said, it's a privilege to speak to you today.
Yes, sir.
I will indeed take my time so that I can dig deeper.
Certainly, okay. That's what I want.
For the benefit of our listeners, for the benefit of the readers out there, for the benefit of indeed ourselves.
Exactly.
So, like I said, I'm Nicholas Obi Mainza.
Yes, sir.
My journey has been very, very interesting, but a bit challenging.
Okay.
In a way that, yes, it's over 2 decades now in the industry, solely in agribusiness and agriculture. I can say In most cases, my looks deceive the people.
Is it?
Yeah, because if you are to go into academia, I
Yes,
think
sir.
what I've achieved unto this time, it's a little bit, I can say, I have a rack of those qualifications.
Okay.
You know, I started my journey with just a general certificate in agriculture.
Yes, sir.
And I've moved to, you can talk about the Bachelor of Sciences in agribusiness, specifically in agribusiness. Of course, I've started from within Zambia, and I've started also outside Zambia.
Okay.
From just the mere degrees, Bachelor of Science, of course, I've moved to a Master of Science in agribusiness. I've moved to my another master's,
Yes, sir.
which is a Master of Business Administration, specifically in entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Bachelor's in entrepreneurship. I've also moved into my PhD focusing in agribusiness. I've also transitioned slightly. I transitioned at some time into lecturing.
Okay.
And I was forced also to do some postgraduate diploma in teaching methodology, because that's a requirement in the academia.
Yes.
I've also moved. I think right now I'm just starting another journey for my second PhD in the field of entrepreneurship.
Okay.
There's a man behind my successes and also the desire to push in academics.
Yes.
One of my, mentor at PhD, Dr. Frank Kayula. That is, it's necessary just to mention on the on the interview.
Yes.
I think he has a bias in entrepreneurship, and he's driven me to go into such kind of fields. And I've written books specifically in entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I've written books. I think one was launched just last year on 8th of March.
Okay.
Yeah, it was launched last year. It's called I See God Where Others See Dust.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very interesting book.
Yes, the title
So
itself.
I've been there, like you, I think, mentioned,
Yes,
not
sir.
just behind the tables in
Yes.
these offices,
Yes, sir.
but I'm also an entrepreneur who practices agribusiness.
Yes, sir.
I'm into livestock farming. I won't just mention, but I'll use the broader explanation.
Yes, sir.
I'm into agribusiness in the field of livestock. If you may wish, layer production,
Okay.
beef production,
Okay.
and I'm also into crop farming. Yeah, crop farming, different of horticulture as well as field crops. So I love to impart knowledge, to teach, to facilitate.
Yes.
At the same time, I love to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I want to believe at the level where I am, I'm not just supposed to be talking, or rather maybe sitting with, I can say, the knowledge that I have. But it's high time I reach a level where now I need to begin sharing what I've acquired in terms of the knowledge, theoretical knowledge, take it to the farmers right out there out in the field, so that they can also benefit.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a challenging journey, but very interesting, because it has taught me to be who I am and to be where I am today.
Yes,
I'm not here by accident, but I'm here because I think I deserved it.
Okay.
I've been practicing from the field all the way. I've risen, if you are into the other sectors, would say I've risen through the ranks.
Okay.
I've risen through the ranks. I've been
sir.
in the field myself, moving all the way into maybe almost all the positions that you could mention out about that's for the Ministry of Agriculture, at the district level, province level, and then as well as at the headquarters level.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been there.
Okay.
I've been there.
That sounds great, and it sounds very inspiring, more especially to our viewers, those that are watching. Of course, he has confirmed and told us that he himself is an entrepreneur. And I know he's been there for a very long time. Doc, I believe that over the years, you've worked closely with smallholder initiatives. It could be investors as well as policymakers.
Yes.
What has been some of your most defining moments in this space?
Wow. Yeah, most of the defining moments, I think, for me, having interacted and worked with, the investors.
Yes, sir.
I'm an economist. Maybe for your information, I'm also the National Secretary, or rather the SJ,
yes,
for Economics Association of Zambia.
Okay.
So I'm always attracted to the sectors that spur production, because those are the ones that inform economic growth.
Exactly.
With economic growth, that's what actually, builds all of us, starting from the individual level, household level to the national level.
Yes, sir.
I always want to see economic growth, sustainability, and a resilient economy.
Yes.
So now, we have investors that have always been hovering around in the space, as well as facing these offices and other individuals elsewhere.
Yes, sir.
But what entices an investor to come and put in their $1 million into an investment, rather in our country?
Yes.
It's something to do with, they look at certain parameters.
Okay.
Politically, how are you living in that country?
Yes.
If politically you are stable, then it will attract investors to come and push in their resources.
Okay.
Then again, if the environment, you can talk about whether maybe the rainfall pattern, just the agroecological, pattern. If it's better, it favors their practice or what they would want to come and push in. Then definitely they'll get attracted and come into there.
Okay.
So I have a bias also towards attracting investment.
Okay.
Access to credit for me, for the smallholder farmers, as well as just the emergent scale farmers, has been a challenge in Zambia.
Okay.
And I would say even just into the SADC region. Overall, I think into Africa. For most of the developing countries, I think we've seen a serious challenge. And these are the ones who are in huge numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, because when we talk about Zambia, I think we are being fed by the small-scale farmers.
Exactly.
Who are the one who produce, of course, in little quantities, but when aggregated together, they make a huge volume. That's what feed us. Commercial farmers, they produce for the already, ascertained market. So now, because of that space, the challenge of access to credit for the small-scale farmers.
Yes.
For me, coming up with certain interventions.
Yes, sir.
Of course, they've been proclaimed or rather brought about by policy directives from the higher level. But having had channeled certain programs that talks about financing or rather providing credit to the small-scale farmers,
yes,
or rather the smallholder farmers, I think for me that's what has been an interesting one, because I think I've played a greater role.
Okay.
Yeah, in starting up the programs, designing the programs. And these are not programs that you can say they've been perfect. You wouldn't find a perfect program, but it's a program that will have its own, gaps here and there, but you amend as you move.
Yes.
So that really has been for me, I think, one of the defining moments in my agribusiness life.
Yes.
Yeah, we have channeled programs that I think we can say they've really helped us now. We are seeing an impact.
Okay.
Yeah. What remains is for you and me and other people now, other sectors, just to take up the knowledge outside there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Certainly, we will delve into some of those strategic programs that you've mentioned in a little while. Yeah. But as for now, Doc, I think it will be very imperative for you just to share with us, or rather, how do you describe your role today as a deputy director? What's the day-to-day vision you are working on in order to deliver what you're supposed to deliver?
Okay. With my sector,
yes, sir.
We are more interested into looking into agribusiness.
Yes, sir.
Okay, as well as marketing.
Okay.
But for who? For the agriculture sector.
Okay.
So we'd rather call it agribusiness. Agribusiness, it's a complex sector, so to say.
Yes,
because it starts, others would say it starts from production all the way to consumption. But again, yes, I would say it starts from marketing and ends with marketing.
Oh, okay.
Why? Because you not just go into production without you knowing where your produce will land at.
Exactly.
So you must start by doing what we call market research.
Okay.
Because the market research is what's going to inform you of the quantities for production, the cost of production, how huge you must produce, the packaging, and other factors.
Okay.
You'll be producing for the already known market, the pricing, the packaging, the quantities like that.
Yes.
And for us, we are also interested in issues surrounding value addition, agro-processing.
Yes, Doc.
This has been one of the major challenges in the SADC region.
Okay.
Not just Zambia, but in the SADC region. We've seen, I think, a lot of, fruit products that have just gone to waste.
Yes.
We produce a lot of tomatoes, and a lot of mangoes if you are to move out there in the field. But most of these, there's no value addition. They are just going to waste like that. So with my sector or my unit that I manage at the ministry, in the Department of Agribusiness and Marketing, I look at trade. It could be domestic and international trade.
Yes.
I look at also just the agribusiness in totality. So meaning we are there to advise. You can talk about prioritizing the value chains that add value. We are here to provide, to facilitate and advise correctly which value chains you must undertake. There are other value chains that actually have no value. They have no value in it. You'll be actually just wasting your time.
Yes, though.
Producing, but everything just doesn't add up. You never grow as an entity. You never grow as an individual. So that's our role, to provide guidance to the small-scale farmers, to the emergent-scale farmers, even to you who sit behind the tables in the offices. Because we need you to be productive. And when you are productive, you are contributing and adding towards the growth of our economy.
Yes. Doc, maybe as we were explaining, I heard you talk about market research. We've seen most of our smallholder farmers, or rather farmers in general, producing more than that which they can consume. Of course, the excess they need to sell. Here comes a situation where probably we have 4 to 5 farmers producing tons and tons of tomatoes at the same time. Would we say market research has been lacking in that area, or they haven't really grasped what it is to produce at the right time?
You seem to be having the answer as well. I can tell you, like I said, I'm privileged to have been in the field,
to
have worked with the farmers of all the levels. I think currently we have 3 levels that we talk about: the small scale, the medium scale, as well as the large scale. And I'm also privileged to have been behind tables to craft policies or to craft certain, frameworks that we need to avail to these farmers. So they are from the emergent scale, or let me just say with the lowest level, the small scale farmers, they lack planning. They lack planning. They lack also record keeping. So it's that level that lacks proper planning. When they go into production, mostly they've been swayed by what is prevailing or what is making some significant noise at that moment.
At that particular time.
If this year you see maize will be selling better at a higher price. Next season, almost all of them will go towards producing maize without knowing and informing themselves that will there be market. So they are moved by what is currently selling better. But then you have the medium scale farmers, the emergent scale. Those ones, because it comprises of the elite, the ones that have a bit of some school. And those ones that just have some understanding about farming. So they would rather they plan accordingly. What kind of inputs do I have? Am I able to produce so much? And when I produce so much, what will be meant for home consumption? And what do I need for me to sell? And where am I going to sell? Which one is my market? So they would rather do a bit of planning. And then the commercial scale farm, the commercial farmers. Farmers. Those ones, obviously. These are kind of a category of farmers who are able to walk into any financial institutions, banks. They would move dressed very nicely in their small shorts usually and their boots. They would sit as we are seated one-on-one with the bank manager and discuss
business.
I want a product that should be tailored to my needs. I want to produce wheat, and I'm willing to go up to 50 hectares that I want to do, or 100 hectares of wheat. And I've already found market, and my market is South Africa, for example. And the clinching price, it's maybe, let's say, $1. It's an example. Maybe $5 per kg. So the price is known, the quantity is known, the destination of the market is known. So it informs them even how large they must go in terms of production. So even when the financial institution is trying to bring a facility form for them to sign, they are now requesting for support in terms of finances. There's no doubt that they will manage to service the debt. They will manage to service what they are borrowing from you. So there's been, to answer your question, there's been really a lack of planning. I think they just produce according to what is actually prevailing at that moment. Because if they were planning, we are not going to be having those challenges that we always see, farmers talking, Boma Yanga Nepo, Boma Chirekere.
Yes,
it's because
Doc.
they've produced, and then it seems to them the only market is government, it's FRI. But they have not looked outside to say there are neighboring countries who are in deficit, okay, of a certain commodity. For example, you have Mozambique, you have Congo, you have Malawi, who've
Yes.
also been in some certain climatic shocks.
Yes.
Produce maize and then just inform. Like I said, I'm from the unit that looks at trade.
Yes.
So we allow at a certain time. What we
Okay.
look at usually are the volumes.
Oh,
Do we
okay.
have enough? And then when we have enough, there are modalities that are always availed to
Okay.
be able to allow the ones with excess to export.
Okay.
You export at a time when there's a need for us to export, because we would want our farmers to grow.
Yes.
No one actually is looking after farmers to say they must remain at their own same stage for decades. We want them to grow and become commercial as well. Yeah.
Okay. No, that sounds good, Doctor, and well explained. This is AgriTalk Africa, where we talk agriculture. Of course, on this podcast, we make sure that real stories are the ones that we look at, and voices matter. The land is the one that leads our conversation. Doc, we go into another part of what you do. This time around, I want us to really look at SAFF, which is a strategic agribusiness and agro-industry framework. You've been the man spearheading this program, and what I want you and I to delve into is that can you share some tangible successes of SAFF program so far, as you and I are discussing, especially around agripreneur, as well as the support, the agripreneur support, yes, that's what I meant, or the private-public collaboration. How has it been?
Yeah. In brief,
Yes, Doc.
we have always looked up to, to strengthen,
Yes.
to enhance the collaboration between the private sector
Yes, sir.
and the public sector.
Okay.
So when I talk about public sector, obviously it comes down to government.
Yes.
And then the private sector, we know that these are institutions or other sectors outside government.
Yes.
It could be NGOs, it could be civil society organizations that we always want to spur, or rather to lead certain
Yes.
programs. As government, in most cases, we just facilitate
Yes.
and we just provide policy in terms of guidance on how things must be done, because government is governing and they're
Exactly.
governing the people.
Yes.
So now, look, we have the agripreneurs, so to say,
Yes.
or rather the entrepreneurs, but in the agricultural sector.
Exactly.
So these are the ones that spur production. Overall, when we look at the national level, we have the mining sector,
Yes.
we have the agriculture sector, we have the industry sector, we have the energy sector. For me, these are 3 or rather 4 most important sectors that contribute towards the growth of the economy.
Yes.
Yeah. Why? Because they're production sectors.
Yes.
Yes, you have others which I might not mention, of course, maybe even maybe the health sector. Those are social sectors.
Yes, they are.
They contribute less when it comes to the growth of the economy. So it's always important to provide, the policies that, encourage production, that encourage growth. And we looked at the agriculture sector and said, wow, what could be lacking in the agriculture sector? Like I had earlier alluded to.
Yes.
Access to credit is one of the huge challenges
Yes.
for the small scale farmers as well as the emergent scale farmers. So we came in as government, okay, and then said, okay, fine, we own our own. There's a high likelihood that we could be taken for granted by this category of farmers.
Okay.
If we are to provide finance, there's been some of us who've been around for a bit of decades now. They used to be CUSA.
Oh, yes,
Lima
yes,
Bank.
yes, yes.
Where are they today?
Yes.
Who killed them? It's not government, it's farmers themselves. How? It's because of their attitudes, their mentality. Those ones, they were there to provide access to credit and available and viable market. They go and produce, and then there's already where to buy. The off-taker for their produce. They were there.
Okay.
And they were thriving. I remember very well my dad. They were thriving. They were thriving with those ones. But then there were others with, that we may term as a bad seed. That took it for granted, borrowed, And then when they produce, they go and sell elsewhere instead of taking to the Lima Bank, taking to CUSA, so that they can recover what they borrowed.
Okay.
And then you could see them do other wrong things.
No.
And then that's how now those institutions were dying out. So that's where we see and we saw a gap in terms of access to credit or provision of, tailor-made products to these, small-scale farmers as well as the emergent-scale farmers. So there was a challenge.
Okay.
So now, what we are saying that right now we are promoting public and private kind of collaboration in terms of spurring agricultural production.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah. So what we are doing is that we are there to provide, the thriving environment for the private sector to lead what we want to see as government. So we would actually come in and give you a deliberate move to say, look, there's a challenge in access to access to finance.
Yes.
And then we'll talk to these financial institutions, the banks and other microfinance, and say, please move in. Here is a sector of farmers. You can go to this region, go to that region. But what we would want to see from you is that do not exploit our farmers, because we want them to grow.
Yes.
But go there, provide insurance cover.
Yes.
Provide access, affordable access. Okay, there could be access, but then not affordable.
Yes.
Affordable loans or affordable, access to the inputs that will contribute towards, production.
Yes.
And then we come in as government and say, okay, we have sectors, we have institutions, agencies like FRI, which is going to be one of the off-takers.
Yes.
And then there are other off-takers who provide the environment, like when they come in here and say, okay, fine, we are interested in buying wheat, we're interested in buying soybeans. Government will sit with them and agree, okay, here are the conditions. Please buy at an agreed price with the farmer. It's either you are buying from at the farm price,
yes,
or the station kind where they are to take the price.
Yes.
But you bargain and speak to them.
Yes.
So that's what actually I think we have been doing. And in terms of promoting the private and public collaboration or partnership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, Doc, well explained. And institutions like FRA, they've been there for some time.
Yes.
And these are off-takers, of course. Farmers have easy market access to them.
Yeah.
But what really surprises me is that in as much as such institutions have been there, we haven't seen much growth in terms of our small-scale farmers from where they are to what we expect them to be.
True.
Doc, from your own experience, from your own understanding, what do you think could be hindering their growth? I know access to finance could be one of those, yes. But can there be any other apart from that?
There are a lot of them. Let's break in maybe into some of the core issues. Access to credit is one of them.
Yes, Doc.
Having the right mindset for farming, for me, is another thing.
Okay.
These are the farmers that are exposed to almost cheaper or rather affordable inputs. Okay. But utilization. We have a category of farmers that just understand production instead of productivity. Here's a farmer who would want to grow 10 hectares, but they only have inputs which are supposed to support 5 hectares. So what do? They'll spread the inputs thinly. So that already affects productivity.
Yes.
So productivity, it's what you get out of a unit area.
Exactly.
So that is another challenge. We have a lot of extension advisory in terms of extension officers who've been out there in the field offering extension services.
Okay.
Try and teach them how best to utilize the inputs. But it seems the uptake of the theories, the knowledge that is given to them is also another challenge. Then also on mindset, an aspect of, I think we have a lot of partners that are preaching about forgetting to do farming as usual and then do it farming as a business.
Yes.
So what do we mean? We are saying that take up farming as your career. You are not into teaching. You are not into engineering or mining. Your teaching is agriculture. So take farming quite seriously. Produce so that you can see value out of it. That's farming as a business. You are taking farming now to say it's a provider of your income in terms of finances and also to feed your family.
Yes.
Then the other contributing factor to low productivity with our smallholder farmers.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, we've not seen growth because I think if I'm to say poor planning, it will still go back to the mindset. But planning also is another factor. They don't plan their agriculture or their farming very well. So there's need to prioritize. You need to look at which value chain, which crop or which sector do I need to go in, and what kind of input do I need to move in. I know that maize is our staple food and staple crop.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
But are you sure maize can sustain you in terms of having enough, in terms of taking children, for you to buy a vehicle, for you to feed your family for a longer period? The answer is no. So it's high time they needed to start identifying. Say, which crop must I take as a cash crop? Which crop must I produce, at the large or highest frontier, rather, to be firing at all cylinders. Okay? You move into soybeans because you know that whatever I produce per hectare, it will give me high value in terms of money.
Exactly.
So that is also key.
Okay.
So I think they are still lacking in terms of identifying which value chains have a higher value.
Okay.
Then I think the other factors that we can talk about that leads to low productivity, why they are not growing, is that the cost of production is still very high. The cost of inputs in our country is still very high.
Yes.
If you are to move in and on the market and check the cost of the cost of fertilizer.
Yes.
Seed could be affordable, but fertilizer I think is one which is a challenge. It's quite high.
Yes.
So most of them do not afford to buy. That's how come there's always the scramble, okay, in terms of who qualifies to be on our famous FISP.
Yes.
Yeah, there's always a scramble because the cost of inputs it's quite high. So cost of production is higher for them to manage. So, and government will not manage to cover everyone. There's always a specific number that government will cover.
Yes.
So that's where now the relationship with the private sector comes in handy.
Yes.
They must bridge the gap. Where government ends, the private sector needs to take up and help.
Okay.
So I think those are some of the reasons why we are seeing our small-scale farmers not growing. I think we've moved in, seen them still producing 1.6, 1.7, metric tons per hectare.
Yes.
It's way below. You can't even compare it with South Africa.
Yes.
At least if they can begin moving to closer, maybe 4 tons per hectare, 5 tons per hectare, then we'll be seeing some growth and. Generally, because agriculture contributes seriously to our economy, we would see a change. Yeah, we would see a change.
But Doc, even those farmers that are on the program, the government's program, that the Farmers Input Support Program, still, even those, they haven't really grown to expectable levels.
The same challenge of thinly using of the inputs. They would want to say, out there, if you are in the field, here's an interesting story. There will be Mr. X here, who produces, maybe he cultivates 10 hectares and is able to get maybe 70 bags per hectare. So out of 10 hectares, you would get 700 bags. And here is Mr. Nicholas, who would want to challenge him and say, I'm also somebody in the community.
Yes.
I also want to produce 10 hectares. But, let's say maybe 10 hectares. But because I'm limited with the kind of inputs that I'm getting under FISP.
Yes.
I would want now to spread them thinly, thinking that for them it's like the larger the area that you cultivate, the higher the productivity or rather the productivity in terms of what you are going to get.
Yes.
So it's a theory which is just out there, but it's never anywhere near closer to reality. That's why I said we speak about productivity. Them are still talking about production. So them they look at the area cultivated instead of what you are supposed to get out of a unit area. So it's still the challenge within that. And this is what we need to preach out strongly. You can do even a 2 hectares with the correct management, and then you get the best. Because we need them to be getting 100 bags per hectare. But currently we have our farmers who are getting 30 bags per hectare. That's what is there out in the field.
So we would safely say it's the wrong usage of the inputs that they get.
Wrong usage and poor management.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Doc, I think as time continues to move, certainly these farmers will have to change their mindset and start to use those inputs rightly, the way those inputs are supposed to be used. The SAFF Program, Doc.
Yes.
Can you share some tangible successes that this program has called so far?
Well, this is one of the flagship programs for the government of the day.
Yes.
just like CDF on the other side, but I can't talk about CDF. I know nothing. I'm in agriculture, and I'll talk about the SAFF, one of the flagship programs.
Yes.
We have a very interesting team that is leading the ministry, from the Honorable Minister, of course, all the way, permanent secretaries and the directors, and the entire team up to the camp extension officers.
Yes.
Here is a program that we need to perfect to be one of the best.
Okay.
I will tell you that when you get to Tanzania, they have a similar program.
Okay.
Yeah. When you get to South Africa, yes, they have.
Yes.
Kenya, they have.
Yes.
Nigeria is there and strong.
Yes.
Ghana is also there. Brazil is there, and it has the same name as SAFF.
Okay.
Sustainable Agriculture Financing Facility.
Yes.
So now, the aim of SAFF is to provide affordable credit to farmers.
Yes.
And this is just a component of our policy document, which is CASIP, Comprehensive Agriculture Support Transformation Program.
Yes.
Yeah. So in there, we have a component that talks about an agricultural credit window. So this is an agricultural credit window.
Okay.
Where, you who are in agriculture as farmers, or entrepreneurs, so to say, because when I say entrepreneurs, it encompasses the SMEs as well as the MSMEs.
Yes.
You have the liberty. You have a window where you can go and lobby for support financially, and then to come and support your sector. So we started at a very terrible time, because I think we had in the region, I think Zambia, Malawi, Zimbabwe were severely hit by the drought that year that we started. And most of the farmers that accessed support through the financial institutions, of course, they were hit by the drought and they did not perform very well. So I would say the facility didn't perform well in the first year. But what we wanted is to start and send the knowledge out there, the information, awareness that there is now a facility where you can access credit through the financial institutions, the banks.
Yes.
And for your information, there's been, of course, a very dangerous notion that it is the Ministry of Agriculture, or rather just entirely government, that is providing this credit. We are talking about a partnership, collaboration.
Yes,
so here is government that provides policy. Okay, we provide policy. We facilitate on how we want things to be done.
Yes.
Right now we have a 10-1-1, ratios that we have to, to work towards producing, or rather reaching 10 million metric tons of maize by the year 2027. 1 million each of soybeans and maize by the year 2027. And this is a directive that was given by the president.
Yes.
But it was given, of course, at the Dakar summit that was held.
Yes.
Yeah. This is just to, contribute towards food security in the region and in the continent. So now, we want to talk about successes of this program. What has it done? I think we've called in the financial institutions who are the banks to say, you are the experts in lending out money, okay, access to credit. You are the ones who are better placed. As we just tell you, say what we want is A, B, C, D. We would want to make sure that our farmers who have no access to credit, they have that access now. Okay. Like I said, commercial farmers are able to walk into the banks and negotiate. Yes. But this category, emergent scale farmers and small scale farmers, they can't do that.
Yes.
So provide that window, speak to them, and then evaluate them, appraise them. They should make the applications. Okay. When you see that these ones qualify, they have a potential, then you'll be able now to lend that credit to them. We as government, we come in, okay, just to be able to help them with monitoring. Are you doing the correct thing? We give them now, those farmers that borrow, the correct technologies to use so that they can increase their productivity. That's what we want.
Okay.
So we have seen that, that difference. I'm sure you've seen recently that we are now doing well as a country in terms of agriculture. We are able to produce, as long as the rainfall distribution, rainfall amount is okay. I think we are able to fire as well on all cylinders. Right? This year, I think you've seen that we are speaking about over 3.6 million metric tons of maize. That's a huge number. That's a huge tonnage as a country. And SAFF is just one of the framework that has contributed, because those farmers that never had access to to get inputs, to buy inputs, they now had access. Okay. They borrowed money from the banks. They were able to produce. Only that I cannot show you, but if you are to move into certain towns, I've moved around.
Yes.
Kalomo, Monze, I've moved into Kawe, Mukushi. farmers have produced. Mazabuka, farmers have produced. I've seen even on social media, there are some of them that have been showing huge, harvest.
Yes.
Yeah, that already on its own. Those are not farmers for FISIP, no. Those are farmers who've gone to access credit from the banks.
Okay.
So already we can see the results. And believe you me, you are going to see more, because when that produce is offloaded onto the market,
yes, Doc,
where is it going to end up? FRI is going to be choked. It won't manage to buy everything, but then they might be allowed now to say export into the neighboring countries. And what does that mean? It means that there will be now more forex coming into our country.
Yes.
And that already helps us to grow our economy.
Okay.
And then we'll stand up and say, I know my Minister of Permanent Secretaries will be able to stand up and say, Minister of Agriculture, or rather the agriculture sector, has contributed so much percent to the GDP. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Doc, well explained. And the SAFF program is one of those great initiatives that we've seen tangible results.
Yes.
The yields are enormous.
Exactly.
Implying that these programs mean well.
Exactly.
But from the best bottom part of your heart, Doc, this SAFF program, has it faced any challenges working along with the financial institutions as well as the lending institutions out there? Has there been some challenges?
Yes. I'll be quick to say yes, of course.
Yes, Doc.
And yes, you've just alluded to working with the financial institutions.
Yeah.
I would want to add another player there.
Yes, Doc.
Also working with these farmers.
Yes.
The borrowers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for me, the major challenges are not on the side of financial institutions.
Yes.
Get me well?
Yes.
I think we have a very good cordial relationship. I think the financial institutions, they've given the support that government needs because they've been available.
Okay.
Called upon to say, you are the experts in the financial sector.
Yes, Doc.
You understand it better than us. As we just understand the technologies, the models that will tell you to say, this is what needs to be done for you to produce. But now you help us.
Yes.
Okay? Because you understand what revolves around, lending money. So working with them, of course, there could be some challenges, but I think they are not so significant. That's for the financial institutions. But why I was quick to say yes is the challenges which are there is with the player that I brought at the end.
The borrowers.
Who's the borrower? In our discussions, earlier on, I think there was some question where I made mention that access to credit has been a challenge in our country and in SADC region. It's because of the attitude of the borrowers, who are the farmers. They killed Lima Bank, they killed CUSA, because they would want to borrow and then go for good, disappear. So forgetting about when I borrow, there's another person behind me who's waiting to come on the window.
Exactly.
So the mindset and the attitude.
Yes.
So the challenges that actually SAFF has been facing, okay, it's just 2 years in season now.
Yes.
So it's the attitude of not wanting to pay back.
Okay.
There are others who want to behave as if this facility is there just to give them things for free and disappear. But then I must challenge them to say, then who is the owner of that money? If it's me, yes, then where am I getting the money? Is it just for free? Is it just dropping from somewhere?
No.
Not at all. The answer is no. So this is a money, or rather a fund, which is supposed to grow. No wonder it has an interest rate. So when you as Mr. Penjani today walk into a bank, request for 200,000 kwacha to go and produce, to grow maize, or rather soybeans. You already have an off-taker. If you don't have, the financial institutions is going to help you find an off-taker at an agreed price. For them, what they know is say, the money that you've borrowed is locked in, is secured, because when you sell the produce, they'll be able to return it. Yes. And then they'll get it with an interest and be able to lend to the other pending farmer. Yes. So the challenges are about the attitude for the farmers, of not wanting to pay back when they get. Then others, they may qualify, they may meet the criteria, but they are not hard workers. Okay. When they reach at the farm, they're just lazing around. Believe you me, when you get a loan, you need to work. There's no time to lazy around. Pay back that because it has a time frame. Yes. There's a time limit, there's a tenure. Okay? So if you are lazy, then we have so many defaulters when it comes to not just on this facility, even in financial institutions. That's why today, if you have to walk to a financial institution, especially the banks, they will tell you that agriculture has a high risk. That's the reason why we don't want to lend out those ones in agriculture. We'd rather give the miners who want to go and search for gold, the other ones who just want to go and do other activities.
Yes, Doc.
So the ones that are practicing agriculture who are actually making it unlendable, because we are lazy, we don't want to work hard, we don't want to return, we don't want to pay back. Yeah. So those are some of the challenges. Then also, there are challenges that are beyond us, and they are beyond the financial institution. Climatic shocks.
Exactly.
Issues of the drought.
Yes.
The flood.
Yes.
Those are beyond us.
Yes.
So that's how come now you are seeing the facility has now gone beyond just lending the seasonal crop inputs for the crop. For example, what happened in the drought season that we had, the other year.
Yes.
It taught us a lesson. It taught us, the one practicing as well as the farmers, a lesson. So now it's evident and that we just need to move in quite seriously in mitigating that. And the mitigation is now providing access to the irrigation equipment, irrigation systems.
Yes.
So we need the farmers now to be sinking the boreholes, having those dams for them to be able to irrigate their crops throughout the year. What we want is continuous production.
Yes.
That's what's going to help us.
Okay.
Towards food security, increased household income, as well as just to just to contribute as usual to the GDP.
Okay.
It's always my interest. Sorry, economists were always biased towards that. Yeah. So we need the SAFF that is resilient.
Yes.
That's how come we are promoting irrigation systems or irrigation equipments, mechanization, because we want to be able, for our farmers to be able to be tilling the land within a shortest period of time and increase the area of, productivity and production. Yeah. Then we're also having other measures that are good in terms of mitigating these climatic shocks. If you just want to depend on the field crops, and then you are hit, or you had sunk a borehole, but then the borehole also dries up, what do you do? So we are encouraging also, our borrowers, or rather the farmers, to diversify.
Okay.
To go into other fields. For example, you can go into livestock.
Yes.
Go into beef production, go into dairy production. It will act as a mitigation measure for the other sector when it's not well supported.
Yes.
Yeah.
Across Africa, the soil tells a story of hands that plant hope, of women and men who rise with the sun, shaping the future of our food, our land, and our economies. This is AgriTalk Africa, the podcast that puts farmers first. We go beyond the headlines to bring you authentic conversations with people driving change in African agribusiness. From financial literacy to climate-smart farming, from the challenges of rural financing to the triumphs of innovation. We educate, we inform, and we inspire. Welcome to AgriTalk Africa, where agriculture meets action.